Good morning. Happy Thursday. What's up, y'all? This is the Culinary Student podcast. Thank you for waking up today, for listening in, and just being you. My name is Jeremiah, your host today and tomorrow. Let's get into it. Uh, some key points that I talked about last time that really resonated with me was knowing yourself. I guess before you can be able to work your best for any other organization because you have to understand your needs and your wants. You have to understand what kind of person you want to be and what kind of ideals you want to bring to the organization before you step into that leadership role where you have to deal constantly with ideas and deal constantly with goals and set standards for the people around you as far as how you're going to go about accomplishing them. And so why does this pertain to self is because, like for the longest time, even for me, especially like and any young chef, out of culinary school, your entire journey, the first like 5 to 10 years of your career is just trying to figure out what kind of chef you want to be and what kind of food you want to create and what kind of environment do you want to be in and what kind of team you want to have around you. And that's going to be like a long, stressful process of going through a lot of bad places, hopefully going through a lot of good places, and hopefully having the open mind to accept ideas wherever they come from, good and bad, because we have to be able to weave through them all in order to make the right decisions for ourselves. And there's definitely no guideline. There's definitely no instructor or teacher that's going to be with you like the entire process. For the most part, you're gonna have to figure out a lot of this stuff on your own. And how can you figure out anything in life? Not just in the culinary world, but like day to day basis. Even as culinary students, like there's so many people in college who I met who weren't sure about culinary arts. They weren't sure that they were going to be a chef at all. They just knew that they love food, they love to cook, they wanted to learn about it, they wanted to dive into that world and see what it was all about. And maybe that might lead to something as far as their career moving forward. But at the end of the day, when I look back to how many friends I have that are still in the industry, how many friends that I have who are super excited about the industry or the work that they have to do, and then there's not many left. There's not a lot of chefs who, a lot of students that I grew up with who are continuing their career within the culinary industry. As far as my close friends, of course, there's like a lot of friends abroad who are like doing personal cooking, who are diving into catering and events. And in that matter, they don't want to be part of these organizations that constantly control their life, constantly tell them what to do, constantly, try to change their perception of what, food is for them. Because ironically, throughout the 10 years of training underneath somebody, you kind of like lose yourself in a way. You kind of lose your your youth for food, like not the youth for food, but like it's like this inner child, you know food for me, where my ideas come from. Like when I was growing up, food was an endless possibility. It wasn't like these structures and limitations and seasonalities and uh availability, like all those things is concepts and ideals you learn about and you grow within, and you discover how do you create a menu in whatever season you're in. How do you create a menu and with what's available to you as far as locality, or do you have enough money to get products that you want even from a further distance away, abroad, like overseas. Wagyu beef, delicious stuff, very expensive, very expensive because you have to get it all the way from Japan, or you can get Australian Wagyu beef. There's American Wagyu beef, but as far as, hey, I want the best quality from my restaurant, which means you have to spend more. And what will you do when it comes to food when all of a sudden that mac and cheese that you made isn't like the best mac and cheese in the world anymore, but it is to you. It is to you, and then And that's what I say when it comes to like a battle between, you know, self and organization. You have these ideals of food, you have these passions about food, you have these concepts of how, simple and easy food should be for you and for your customers. And, there's a lot of organizations who have to take that passion and take that, you know, simplicity and turn it into something complex, turn it into something that they can incorporate, make into a business and make it, into a profitable business at that, where we make money off of it. And so now we're not looking at, we're not talking to that young child anymore inside of ourselves. We're talking to, our business leaders, and we're asking them, hey, you know, this mac and cheese is great. How do we make money from it? And they're going to be like, hey, if we portion size it to this size, if we sell it at X amount, and if we sell X amount every night, this is how much profit we're going to see from this dish. If this dish isn't making enough profit, then we need to look at the recipe. We need to either increase the flavor, we got to increase the cheesiness, we got to increase something. And, these are very important skills that every individual needs to learn about their dish. Like even if you're a caterer or a private chef, you should always look at your dish, reflect on it, find out how to make it better, find out how to push it to its limits. But is your goal as a chef to push dishes to their limit for maximum profitability, or is your goal as a chef to push dishes to the limit because you are looking for the best kind of dish that you can make at that moment, or the best kind of version of this dish that you wanna see come to life? It's a lot of growth, a lot of like learning, a lot of like mistakes involved in like figuring out, what your food is and what you want to share with the world. And it all starts with yourself. It all starts with you. uh, As always, we have a little, poetry session here. I like to share like my writing, my thoughts and ideas. And like this piece is called I Remember. I don't know if the words of my past can speak for me today. I remember the feeling that wrote them, the passion. I remember the thoughts that fueled them, the anger. I remember the pain as it left through my hands, the relief. I remember letting go so that I can make way for a new me. I remember. Um, what does that piece mean to me, and like how does it, you know, connect with what I'm trying to say is you're not going to be the same person you were 10 years ago. You're not going to be the same chef you were 10 years ago. Your passion is going to change. Your desires, your priorities are going to change. As we grow up, we get married, we get kids, we lose friends, we make new friends. We have family. People. Unfortunately, people are passing away around us, and I always go back to like the pandemic where all of a sudden everything stopped. Everything stopped for us as far as food and cooking and being able to jobs. For a lot of people, a lot of individuals, we were at home for the first time in a long time, really like thinking about a lot of stuff that we never thought about before. Like I think that's the first time I called my grandma in years. And that's not even a good thing. That's very bad. My grandma calls me all the time. Let's not say that I don't talk to my grandma. I talk to my grandma. Do I initiate the call? No. Why not? Because grandma prays a lot. And, like I can pray for 2 minutes a day, but grandma can pray forever. And that means the phone call's going to be forever and my bill's going to go up. And you all understand that we can't have high bills in our, as a culinary student, we just don't get paid enough to pay for these high expensive bills. So yeah, I called my grandma for the first time. I called my brothers for the first time to check on them and see what's going on. I called people, just the reach out aspect of it all, where I'm actually like sitting down at a table and I'm like, oh, I should call this guy. It's like a new feeling because you're really just like consumed by the culinary world in a matter of like, I work like currently right now, like even after this podcast, I'm going into work, guys. Don't let me fool you. I have a full time job, and it's gonna be a 10 to 12 hour shift. It's gonna be like half of my entire day. I have to leave in like an hour or two so that I can make it to my shift on time. And so that's like almost all of my morning. You know, it's like, you wake up and the first thing you want to do is like, groom yourself. Like, you know how long it takes to like I didn't wake up like this. You know how long it takes to like take a shower? Not that long. Brush your teeth, not that long. But you know what I mean. Like, I have to shave my beard. My beard's still there. But I'm trying to make a point here. The point I'm making is, it takes a long time to take a shit, and finally when you're done taking shit, you gotta do all those other stuff that I mentioned. And after that, it's like time for work, go figure, like shit. Time to put your clothes on, time to make sure you have all your stuff you need for work, and you're out the door. In between all that chaos, it's not that chaotic, but you expect me to call my entire family and check on them and make sure they're okay. And what happens when I call my family and there's like a family emergency? I gotta call out of work. I think the industry relies on the fact that we're always busy, that we can't really like dive into like family events and stuff like that because they want you to be focused on them. They want you to be focused on like the kitchen. They want you to give it all to them. They feed off the passion. They feed off the determination of the young chef to be the best, to want to be there, to want to learn, to want to be the best one in the kitchen. And they feed off it so much to a point where you kind of get lost in your own passion. You're thinking like, oh man, I'm doing the best. This is exactly what I need to be doing to get to the top. But like I actually read today, like not even like a long time ago, I read today about like something called like a passion trap, where you're so lost in your own passion, your own determinations that you're doing things that you think are what's best for you in your career, when at the end of the day you're actually killing your body. You're actually like you're draining your energy, you're draining your spirit, you're draining your motivation, because like I said, like you're spending the first 10 years of your career like learning somebody else's ideals and concepts of culinary arts, learning everybody else's ideals and concepts of culinary arts, which means you're losing a piece of your concepts, your ideals of culinary arts, little by little along the way, in hopes of developing, ironically, your culinary art and your standards that you want to create. At the end of the journey, how much of those standards that you create in culinary arts are based off your views and your beliefs, or it's based off what you've learned, what you've been taught, and what you've accumulated across your career. And the secret is like you get to that point where you've learned everything you need to learn. Of course, there's no point like that. You're always going to be learning. There's always more to learn. But you get to this point where you're confident enough to take charge and take the lead because you understand yourself, you understand your food, you understand what culinary means to you, and you go into your first kitchen and you take charge, and you kind of like, it's kind of gets depressing. Why does it get depressing? Because now you have to spend your next 10 years of your life developing the people around you to see your views of culinary arts, to believe in your beliefs, to cook like you cook, to fight like you fight for food, to be as passionate. And I remember like when I was a one of my first kitchens as a kid growing up in when I was in Pennsylvania, my chef, he came to me straight away. He saw me like, because I was getting mad at everybody. Man, I was mad at the salad guy. I don't even know why I was mad at the salad guy. Like he made the best nacho I ever had in my life to this day. That's probably why I was mad, because I wanted the nachos. I'm like, yo, bro, how come he gets to make nachos all day long and I don't? But that's besides the point. The point is, he said like, he pulled me aside and he said, you can never expect everybody in the room to be as passionate as you. You can never expect everyone in the room to be as determined as you. You can never expect anything from anyone. Actually, like just stop, just throw your expectations for people out the way and start to develop a relationship with that person that's going to be based off, you know, just mutual respect, and getting to know where that person lies in the hierarchy of things. Because there are people in the industry who are who has given up, who this is a just a job, who is just there to get a paycheck, who is just there to like, okay, another day. And those people like might be the hardest working people you ever met. And you're like, damn, I wish this guy would push himself more. I wish he would like take charge. But they're like, fuck that. I'm sorry. I know how hard it is to be at that level. I know what it takes for me mentally. And they personally chose happiness. They're like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna make this money. I'm gonna ask for my raise. I'm gonna go home and enjoy my quality time with my wife. 8 hours a day is enough for me, you know. And then there's people who are literally just there for the money and don't give a fuck at all. But we don't want to talk about those guys because then I'm gonna get mad about the nachos again, and then we don't want to even get into that, man. The the idea behind all of this is the fact that we need to be prepared to like constantly deal with environments where our self will be tested to the point where you might have to lose yourself a little bit. You might have to forget, you have to make compromises on yourself. And then it's super tough to work in an environment where you have to make compromises on yourself when you don't know, who you are or what you want or what you want to bring to the table, or because like at that point you're just going to be a leader who says yes to whatever. You're going to be a leader who lets his kitchen get ran however it wants to get ran, rather than the kind of leader who's going to implement the changes that it needs in order to be super successful and super like and create that environment where people are like, okay, I see what this guy's doing, I see what's going on, and I want to be a part of that. And there's like seldom moments, man, where you go into a kitchen and you find a environment where, wow, this place is really like inspiring, this place is really like, you know really motivating when it comes to like culinary arts and that environment that I want to be in as a culinary student. And if at the end of the day, if you want like some real advice, like just go straight into a Michelin restaurant. Just go straight into a Michelin restaurant. Don't even be don't even be scared to throw yourself in their hands for 10 years. It's just like when doctors are doing their their stage, or before they become rich, they have to do those years and years and years of hard study, of hard labor, of grunt work, of all that stuff, and they're not getting paid nothing. They're struggling until they finally get an attending position and they make all that money. You have to choose where you're going to spend all those years, where you're going to like save away, where you're going to get paid nothing, where you're gonna like you know figure out yourself in order to to develop into the kind of chef that you want to be when you get out of that environment, and be prepared to be your kind of chef. You be yourself. So you have to go somewhere that's gonna horn you and like really sharpen your edges, so that when you're out there you can be fearless and you can be the best knife in the fucking draw, and fucking just take charge, because like a knife, I'm just gonna stick to this knife analogy here. It looks like it's working out for me. Like a knife, there's gonna be the acidity that dulls you. There's gonna be that hard ass knife board that you're chopping against. That's gonna dull you up. There's gonna be all the vegetables in the world that you have to cut and mince and dice. It's gonna make you dull, and you have to learn how to sharpen your own knife. You can't. You're not always going to be able to take it to the store. You're not going to always to be able to like pay for someone to sharpen your knife. And maybe they might sharpen your knife, and they might complete. I remember when I sharpened my knife this one time, man, and it completely destroyed my blade. And I mean, like it was sad. Like it was my first knife from college. I didn't like, it wasn't the best knife in the world, but it had sentimental value to the point where Yeah, this knife is amazing for me. Like I still remember that knife, and it's gone now because some idiot, me, gave it away to some another idiot, my chef, to go get it sharpened by some another idiot, the sharpen knife guy, who doesn't know how to sharpen a blade. Like he knows how to fucking destroy a blade. That's for sure. So make sure your knives don't get destroyed, man. Yeah, that's the bottom line of that story. Like, make sure your knife, take care of your knife, take care of yourself, and really figure out what it takes for you to be happy. You know, like let's forget about the culinary arts. You know, let's go back to let's go back to the like self and like I wrote down this quick line, and it's nothing crazy. It's not even like a poem or nothing. It was just like a thought that I thought of last week when I was talking about self versus organization and how you come together to create a that's exactly honestly that's exactly what I did last week. I said self organization coming together to make a baby. I didn't say the baby part, but like what I was thinking about was like there are seldom moments that would pass like a whisper. If you heard it, it was yours, you know? Like and if you missed it, you would never get those moments again. They're like epiphanies, realizations, a recognition of self. There are moments, you know, like when you're standing in a room around people or when you're like having conversations with somebody and it happens like randomly and you're like, you get these realizations. You're like, oh man, like that's the answer to that question. Oh man, that's something about myself that I realized just now. Like, oh man, oh man, oh man. And like, there are moments like that where you can have those realizations, accept it, write it down. You can bring the idea to life because you finally had this big epiphany about yourself, or you can like ignore it. You like you realize something, oh, and then you just keep on going. You realize something, oh, and you just get back to work or get back to that book you're reading or get back to like you completely ignore those moments because maybe to you maybe you have bad fucking memory, as far as I know. But like maybe to you, those epiphanies weren't significant or something of importance. But like, I want you guys to realize like yourself and your growth as an individual when it comes to being a culinary student, when it comes to being anything in life, is the most important part of the journey. You have to realize who you want to be as a chef, as a doctor, as a technician, like my boy behind me. He's a fucking computer scientist, a computer technician, and he's involved in like so many projects right now. It's like, but he has to bring a piece of himself to every single project he does. He has to bring a piece of himself, and you need to know what that piece is that you're gonna bring. You got to be confident in those pieces that you're gonna bring because like I said, there's always a target on your back. There's always people trying to poke and prod you and see what you're capable of. And then you need to be able to believe in yourself, man. You got to believe in yourself more than anybody else because, like, it really is like a matter of burnout. It really is a battle between yourself and burnout. And burnout. What's ironic about the word burnout? I didn't learn the word burnout until COVID happened. Isn't that's like that's and burnout has been a thing since forever. Like it's not like burnout is not new. It didn't get invented in like 2020. You know, burnout came into realization in 2020 as everyone realized, oh shit, this is the first time I've sat on my couch in like a week and not had to do anything with my life but sit down here stuck inside of a house. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much, porno you can watch before you realize you have to sit in a house and sit in a room with yourself for a long time and really think about, wow, what happened to my hair? Like, I should really like clean my teeth sometimes. Like, you all these things you like, you just overlook all these things you didn't care about before. Like going to go get checked out at the hospital. Health was at all time high. Health, physical, like working out, going to the gym, what you eat, you know, limited on food supplies. So you have to really, like, people were looking at their diet different. There's no reason why a pandemic has to happen for us to start caring about ourselves. There's no reason why a pandemic has to happen for us to actually sit down and think about our place in our career, our place in our friends and family lives, our place in our own lives. Like some people misplace themselves in their life, like to a point where, you get out of work and you don't know what the fuck you got to do with yourself. You're like, what do I like? What do I like to do? And it's like, it's very depressing when you have to sit down and think about and learn about yourself all over again. And that's when I go back to the poem, like where I say, you know, I don't know if the words of my past can speak for me today. And that's because, like, that person that was there, that person before, man, like that guy was a monster. That guy he didn't give a fuck, bro. I do not remember caring about a birthday, a holiday, a vacation, nothing, man. I really, all I cared about was like my drink in my cup to get through the day. Not to get through the day. Well, that sounds like an alcoholic. I'm talking about to get through tomorrow, right? So I'm talking about after work, guys, getting a nice cold beer, maybe 10, going home, sleeping it off, waking up soberly to get to work the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's crazy because I just went to sleep at like 6 or 5. Drunk as fuck. But I woke up and then I went to my job because I was surrounded by people who did the same exact things as me. I was surrounded by a culture that accepted that. I was surrounded by, a community that was just like me. And I thought, hey, this is normal, this is regular, this is what we do. But then you realize, no, you don't have to drink that entire bottle of vodka to relax and after a long day of work. No, no, no. You just have to drink half the bottle of vodka. Get a woman who loves you to tell you to stop drinking the other half of the bottle of vodka, and then take that woman home to your family so you could actually have reasons to go home again. Like, yes, guys, I'm talking about love, man. I'm talking about fucking love. And like, if you don't learn to love yourself, if you can't, build yourself to love a different individual who you want to spend the rest of your time with, then how can you learn, you know, to be a leader and have passion and have know what fighting for something is like? Know what? Because at some point, dude, like when you get older, all those passions and all those memories you had as a kid, those things that were keeping you burning, they change. They go away. Some of it doesn't exist anymore because it's a completely different individual. You know, some of it still is there, but it's not as strong as it was because you're not in those situations that you were facing as a child anymore. You're in a completely different situation. You have to constantly, constantly figure out who you are as a person, figure out what you want to bring to the table in your own life, what kind of man you want to be for the people around you, and how you're going to like how you're going to bring that person, that man, into your field in a professional way, in an aggressive way, because you need to be yourself in your industry. You can't deny who you are for anyone. You have to be yourself. And the most important part for any culinary student is to realize that your food is nothing but a reflection of yourself and your career and your culture and your passions and your beliefs. And so you have to really hone those things in and sharpen your blade and be ready to face whoever comes to you with, doubts and disbelief. Then show them, hey, like, I'm willing to listen to your idea, but I need you to listen to my idea so that we can create this baby. As always, thank you for joining me today and listening to my rants, thoughts, and ideals. Please do share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in my work, please follow my channel at Palladia Lounge. And if you're interested in my writing, the art and writing link is on my channel as well. To check out my writing. It's very important to me. I think I mentioned that a couple of thousand times. And I just wanted to, say that, I'm trying to do this like maybe every Thursday, and I hope to like, expand it, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, because I love like, when there's like two episodes back to back. I love that shit. I love that shit, and I should probably give that to you guys. You guys being, myself, because that's what I'm talking to right now, myself. But I hope that changes. I hope that people comment and say stuff and reach out so that we can start creating conversation, because that's all I want to do here. I just want to talk, and I can talk to people all day. But talking to you guys, that's when the cookie crumbles.